Hey guys, Mr. B here. In this video, we're going to be going over the NASA climate change information worksheet. So there's a link here to go to the website. So if you click on it, it should bring you to this website here. And on here, there are lots of different pages that you can select. It starts off here at the top about facts and evidence, but then we have causes, effects, scientific consensus, vital signs, FAQ, frequently asked questions. And up at the top, there's also some other things too, like under this Explore, there's some interactives and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of information on this website. But in order for us to go through our worksheet and answer a lot of the questions, we're going to have to find it. Okay, so this worksheet does require you to have to go and read through some things here and find it. But we are going to do this together. So if you want to watch this and go along with me, you can. Otherwise, if you want to read through it on your own and find the information, you can too. I would recommend that you take a look at some of this. There's a lot of good information on here. So let's jump back to our worksheet here so that we can take a look at our questions so we can get started. All right, so first one is, what is climate change? So let's take a look at NASA's website and see what they have for climate change, okay? So let's scroll down. And it says here, the Earth's climate has changed throughout history. Just in the last 650,000 years, there have been 7 cycles of glacial advance and retreat, with the abrupt end of the last ice age about 11,700 years ago, marking the beginning of the modern climate era and of human civilization. Most of these climate changes are attributed to very small variations in Earth's orbit that change the amount of solar energy our planet receives. All right, so if we keep on going here, it does, I think, talk about what climate change is. Talks about current warming trends is likely the result of human activity. And so it says here that through the collection of many different types of information about our planet and its climate on a global scale, this reveals the signs of a changing climate, and that there are heat trapping gases like carbon dioxide and other things that have caused the temperature to go up because of the greenhouse effect. But I still have not seen yet what climate change is exactly, at least how they define it. So let's go see if we can find somewhere else. Let's go to, let's see about questions, FAQ, and see if it has a question about what is climate change. So let's see here. What's the difference between weather and climate? That one might do it. Here we go. What's the difference between climate change and global warming? So let's click on this and see what it says. So global warming refers to the long-term warming of the planet. Climate change encompasses global warming but refers to the broader range of changes that are happening to our planet, including rising sea levels, shrinking mountain glaciers, accelerating ice melt in Greenland, Antarctica, and the Arctic, and shifts in flower/plant blooming times. All right, so this, I think, is what we're looking for when it talks about what is climate change. So I'm going to copy and paste this just because I know that this is essentially what we're looking for. So let's go back to our worksheet. And let's paste this in here, okay? So what is climate change? Basically encompasses global warming, but refers to this broad range of all this other stuff, right? It's not just about rising temperatures, it's everything. So number 2, how do we know that climate change is real and currently happening? All right, so let's go back to our website here and see if we can find that, right? So let's go to, do scientists agree on climate change? So it says, yes, the vast majority agree that humans are causing global warming and climate change. So this doesn't really answer our question of like, how do we know it's happening? So we're going to go to detailed answer and see if we can find more information on this, right? So let's click on this one. Okay, so Earth's climate is warming, scientific consensus. All right, so it looks like here we have a graph that shows the temperature in all these different locations from 1880 up till today, and we can see that there is definitely a rise in temperature. Okay, so it looks like all these different organizations have done information on this. All right, so this kind of is okay, but other than this graph here, let's go to cause, or let's go to evidence, right? We're looking for, how do we know that that climate change is real? Let's go to evidence, right? So I think here it says the evidence for rapid climate change is compelling. So we have global temperature rise. Okay, so planet's surface temperature has risen about 1.62 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century. We have warming oceans. These oceans have absorbed much of this increased heat, with the top 700 meters of ocean showing warming of more than 0.4 degrees Fahrenheit. We have shrinking ice sheets, glacial retreat, decreased snow cover, sea level rise. So I think all of these things here are pretty much all of the things that we're looking for when the question asks, how do we know that climate change is happening? So we're going to go back to our sheet and we're going to put down some of these, okay? So we have, so how do we know that it is real and currently happening? So there is a global temperature rise, okay? And I'm going to be looking back at the website here. I'm just not going to switch my camera. So we have global temperature rise. We have warming oceans, shrinking ice sheets, glacial retreat. Okay, so warming oceans, shrinking ice sheets, sea level rise. What else did we have on here? Decreased snow cover, declining Arctic sea ice, extreme events, ocean acidification. So there's a lot. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to put every single one of these, but extreme events, ocean acidification, There we go. Arctic sea ice melting, etc. Okay, so there's a lot. But I think all of those things on that evidence page is pretty much outlining how we know that climate change is real and it is currently happening. Number 3, what gases cause changes in the temperature in the atmosphere? So this one is primarily asking about what are the gases that cause climate change. So let's go to our website, and I think if we go to causes, it's probably going to talk about the gases, right? So cause of climate change, it talks about the greenhouse effect and how energy from the sun is radiated inwards, and that some of it bounces out to space, but a lot of it is trapped by greenhouse gases, which then heat the planet in all directions, right? So they show this again. So sunlight reaches the Earth, some energy reflects into space, a lot of it gets absorbed and re-radiated as heat, and then that kind of gets distributed around the planet due to the greenhouse effect. And it looks like here, gases that contribute to the greenhouse effect include, okay, so they have 4 of them here: water vapor, nitrous oxide, methane, and carbon dioxide. So these are the gases that we're looking for, and this is what we're going to put down on our worksheet here. So what gases cause changes in temperature? So we have water vapor, nitrous oxide, methane, and carbon dioxide. Okay. Number 4, where do these gases come from? So let's go back to our website and let's do some reading here. Okay, so it says water vapor, the most abundant greenhouse gas, but importantly, it acts as a feedback to the climate. Water vapor increases as the Earth's atmosphere warms, but so does the possibility of clouds and precipitation, making these some of the most important feedback mechanisms of the greenhouse effect. So they don't specifically talk about where water vapor comes from, but I mean the majority of our planet is made out of liquid water, and a lot of it evaporates. So I don't think we need to really question where that one comes from. The next ones, though, we probably want to read more about. So carbon dioxide, minor but important component of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is released through natural processes such as respirations, that's breathing, and volcano eruptions, and through human activities such as deforestation, land use changes, and burning fossil fuels. So humans have increased atmospheric CO2 concentration by more than 1/3 since the Industrial Revolution began. So carbon dioxide primarily seems like it comes from natural processes, but a lot of this seems to be coming from human activity. Okay, so we're going to go put these down before we forget. So let's go back to our sheet. So we'll say water vapor. Water vapor comes from the oceans and liquid water. Carbon dioxide comes from natural processes, but much more comes from human activity. We'll go nitrous oxide or methane, whichever one is next. Let's go take a look at our website and see which one is next here. So nitrous oxide or methane? Methane. So methane is produced both through natural sources and human activities, including decomposition of waste in landfills, agriculture, and especially rice cultivation, as well as ruminant digestion and manure management associated with domestic livestock. It says this is a much more active greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, but is also one which is much less abundant. Okay, so it looks like this also is natural, but a lot of human activities cause this. Again, waste in landfills, agriculture, rice cultivation, manure management with domestic livestock. So we're going to put down things like that. So again, let's go back to our website, our worksheet here. So methane comes from natural sources, but also a lot from human activity. Human activities such as landfills, rice cultivation, and manure slash livestock, something like that. Okay. That's one word. Okay, and then the last one was nitrous oxide. So let's take a look at nitrous oxide. And it says, a powerful greenhouse gas produced by soil cultivation practices, especially the use of commercial and organic fertilizers, fossil fuel combustion, nitric acid production, and biomass burning. So all of these things are human things, right? Soil cultivation, we cultivate the land. Organic fertilizers, humans use fertilizers. Fossil fuel combustion, humans burn fossil fuels. Nitric acid production, that's done by chemical companies. And biomass burning is basically you take a bunch of material that used to be alive, like, you know, dead plant material and stuff, and you burn it. So all of this seems to be human activity. So nitrous oxide, we can say, basically comes from human activity. So nitrous oxide comes from human activity, such as fertilizer usage, biomass burning, nitric acid production, etc. All right. Number 5, how have humans contributed to climate change? All right. Well, pretty much all of these things right here that we just laid down are contributions because of the fact that they produce greenhouse gases, which we think is the main cause for climate change. So I'm going to say humans have contributed to climate change through the use of fossil fuels, fertilizers, deforestation was one they mentioned because carbon dioxide is from deforestation, landfills, rice cultivation, etc. The list goes on, right? Basically all this stuff from up here. Number 6, are there other reasons for climate change other than human activity? All right, so that's a good question. Let's go take a look at our website and see if we can find it. So there are other reasons for climate change other than human activity. So let's keep on reading here. So it says, on Earth, human activities are changing the natural greenhouse. Over the last century, burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil has increased CO2. Okay, let's keep on going. Role of human activity. Okay, so says a group of independent scientific experts all around the world basically have concluded that human activity is the reason our planet's warming over the last 50 years. Is there anything else? Okay. All right, what's this? Solar irradiance. All right, so this talks about temperature versus the sun. So what it says here now, it's reasonable to assume that changes in the sun's energy output would cause the climate to change, since the sun is a fundamental source of energy that drives our climate system. And indeed, studies show that solar variability has played a role in past climate changes. For example, decreased solar activity with volcanic activity has triggered ice ages, etc. But several lines of evidence show that current global warming cannot be explained by changes in energy from the sun. So it looks like this at least here does talk about other reasons for climate change other than human activity. So we can put that down on our worksheet at least. So other reasons for climate change other than human activity, we can say yes, solar radiation and changes in the sun's energy output could be a cause for climate change as well, but it doesn't seem likely that it is the main cause. Okay, at least if we read on the website, it says that it's not probably the main cause there. So what are the effects that climate change has on the environment today? All right, so let's go back to our website and see if we can find that. So we're looking for what are the effects of climate change. I think if we go towards the top, there was a tab here called effects. Let's click on it. Let's do some reading. So the effects of climate change. So it says global climate change has already had observable effects on the environment. Glaciers have shrunk, ice on rivers and lakes is breaking up earlier, plant and animal ranges have shifted, and trees are flowering sooner. Effects that scientists had predicted in the past would result from climate change are now occurring. Loss of sea ice, accelerated sea level rise, and longer, more intense heat waves. So yeah, there seems to be a lot of things basically just in this little sentence, right? This little chunk right here pretty much answers our question, right? So let's go back to our worksheet again and take a look at what our question said. And our question was, what are the effects that climate change has on the environment today? So we can say rising global temperatures, reduced glacial ice sheets, sea level rise, more extreme weather events, etc. Right, stuff like that I think was what was mentioned, and we'll go read more here too, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of what was mentioned in here. Okay, so all right, future effects. All right, so let's go back to our worksheet here and read what the next question is before we keep on reading too far, because we might actually miss an answer we're looking for. What are the effects that climate change may have on the environment in the future? All right, so perfect. We're just about to read about future impacts. So let's go take a look. So future effects. Some of the long-term effects of global climate change in the United States are as follows. According to third and fourth national. Okay, so looks like here that change will continue beyond the century and beyond. Global climate is projected to continue to change over the century. Temperatures will continue to rise. Frost-free season and growing season will lengthen. Okay, so the growing season will get longer. Changes in precipitation patterns, so where rainfall falls will change for the better or for the worse. More droughts and heat waves. Okay, that's not necessarily good. Hurricanes will become stronger and more intense. Sea levels will rise 1 to 4 feet. Arctic likely to become ice-free. Okay, so pretty much all of these things right here are what we're looking for. So let's go back to our worksheet and let's put some of these things down. Okay, so again, what are the effects that climate change may have on the environment in the future? So we have again rising global temperatures. Let's go back to our website here just to double check on everything. So we had temperatures continue to rise. Growing season will lengthen. Okay, so let's go put that down. So growing season will lengthen. Okay, what else did we have? We had changes in precipitation patterns, so changes in rainfall, as well as more droughts and heat waves, which isn't necessarily good. So, so let's put down, so precipitation patterns will change, more droughts and heat waves will occur. And then this was just like one more. There was a bunch of them here, so let's put one more. Hurricanes will become stronger and more intense. Okay, so let's put that down too. So hurricanes will become stronger and more intense. Let's put etc. because there's more. So rising global temperatures. There we go. All right, so then number 9 says, just in the U.S. alone, what changes might we see from climate change? So I think on that same page, if we keep scrolling down, it has stuff about just the U.S. So it says U.S. regional effects. So below are some of the impacts that are currently visible throughout the U.S. and will continue to affect these regions. So in the Northeast, so that's like New York, Maine, places like that, heat waves, heavy downpours, sea level rise pose growing challenges in many of those in the Northeast. Infrastructure, agriculture, fisheries, ecosystems will be increasingly compromised. In the Northwest, that's like, Washington, Utah, places like that. Changes in the timing of stream flow reduce water supplies for competing demands. Sea level rise, erosion, inundation, risks to infrastructure, and increasing ocean acidity pose major threats. Increasing wildfire, that's not very good. Wildfires occur like every summer over in the Rockies and stuff, so increasing wildfires is not good. Insect outbreaks, tree diseases. Okay, so pretty much all this stuff here is what we're looking for. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy paste this, and then we can trim it up a little bit on our worksheet. So let's go back to our worksheet here, and let's paste this in. And that's a lot. Okay, we're not going to keep all of this, but let's just let's trim some of this up. Okay, so in the Northeast, actually, you know what? We'll just keep it as it is. Whatever, it's fine. This is pretty much everything we're looking for. So we'll just keep it as that. We'll just copy paste it in there. But let's read it. Okay, it is important to read it. We just want to just copy paste it and then not even read about it. So, okay, so in the Southeast, so this is like Miami, Florida, Atlanta or Georgia, Alabama. So we have sea level rise pose widespread and continuing threats to the region's economy and environment. Extreme heat will affect health, energy, agriculture, and more. Decreased water availability will have economic and environmental impacts. Here in the Midwest, that's here, right? Hometown, our home state here. Extreme heat. So our summer is going to get a lot hotter. As many of you probably already know that our summers can get really hot now. They're going to get hotter. Heavy downpours and flooding will affect infrastructure, which we have a lot of rainfall in the summer now, as a lot of you also know, which, yep. So health, agriculture, forestry, transportation, air and water quality, more is all going to get affected. Climate change will also exacerbate a range of risks to the Great Lakes, which, of course, we have Lake Superior here in our state. So, and then in the Southwest, so this is like, New Mexico, California, stuff like that. Increased heat, drought, insect outbreaks, all linked to climate change, have increased wildfires. Again, not good. Declining water supplies. California had a water issue, I think a year or two ago, or maybe 3 years, where they had a water shortage. That's going to just get worse, which is not good because California has a lot of people that live in that state. Reduced agricultural yields, health impacts in cities due to heat, flooding, erosion, coastal areas, all bad things. So, all right, last question. Are there any solutions to climate change that we can implement to help slow it down, stop it, or even reverse it? All right, so let's go see if we can find the last answer to this question. Basically, is there anything we can do to stop this, right? Or are we just like, well, there's nothing we can do about it? So let's go to the questions here again. Let's see if we can find an answer to this. I feel like there is. So is it too late to prevent climate change? Exactly what we're looking for. So let's click on it. It says humans have caused major climate changes to happen already, and we have set in motion more changes still. Even if we stopped emitting greenhouse gases today, global warming would continue to happen for at least several more decades, if not centuries. Okay, so maybe let's read a bit more here just to see what else it says. So it takes a while for the planet to respond because carbon dioxide lingers in the atmosphere for hundreds of years. There's some time lag between what we do and when we feel it. So it says here, it may not be too late to avoid or limit some of the worst effects of climate change. Responding to climate change will involve a two-tier approach. One, mitigation, which is reducing the flow of greenhouse gases. And then two, adaptation, which is learning to live with or adapt to the changes that are already going to happen. The key question is what will our emissions of carbon dioxide and other pollutants be in the years to come? Recycling and driving more fuel-efficient cars are examples of important behavioral change that will help, but they will not be enough. Because climate change is truly global, a complex problem with economic, social, political, and moral ramifications, solution will require both a globally coordinated response and local efforts on city and regional levels in order basically to change this. So our question was, let's go back to our worksheet here. Are there any solutions to climate change that we can implement to help slow it down, stop it, or even reverse it? Yes, but we still have to live with things that we're going to deal with, right? So we can say yes, it involves the reduction of fossil fuel usage and more fuel efficient ways to power our homes and cars. However, we will have to learn to mitigate fossil fuel usage, as well as learn to adapt to the changes that are already going to happen due to current climate change. Just, I guess, due to current climate change. So, yeah, there are some solutions that we can put in place to implement, but primarily it's dealing with, reducing fossil fuel usage. And ultimately, we are going to have to learn to adapt to the things that are already going to happen, because even if we stop now, it's not like everything just goes back to normal. It takes time. So we are going to have to learn to adapt to some of the changes that are already going to happen. So, all right, I know that's a bit lengthy, but that's a lot of information here. Really good information also to use and study for the test. So hope that helps you. And as always, if you have any questions or need more help from me, please let me know. All right, guys, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.